Welcome to this explainer, brought to you by Forge College. Today, we're diving into the fundamentals of bundler implementation. We're right in the thick of our module on integrating ERC 4337 bundlers and paymasters, which is part of the broader account abstraction track. Now, I want you to imagine an old-school minimalist engineering schematic unrolling right in front of you on a desk. That's exactly what we're doing today. We're going to map out the precise blueprint you need in your head before you write a single line of code.
But first, we really have to ask a fundamental question. How does a bundler actually juggle all those transactions without dropping them? Because honestly, the raw mempool, it's essentially a frantic, completely disorganized mailroom on the worst Monday ever. You've got thousands of letters just flying everywhere. Well, our bundler acts as the ultimate sorting machine. It steps in and brings perfect, predictable order to all of that absolute chaos.
So, here is our engineering schematic for today. We're going to cover 1. The bundler machine. 2. The core processing loop. 3. The UserOp lifecycle. 4. Throughput versus latency. And finally, 5. Determinism and safety. Okay, let's dive into this.
Step 1. Meet the bundler machine.
Now, in our previous lesson on synthesis and next steps toward implementation, we learned that batching UserOps saves gas, but it does increase the risk of failed simulations. Well, now we're putting that theory into practice. Right at the very center of this machine is the UserOp itself. Think of it as a pseudo-transaction object that users send to be executed on-chain. It's the raw package our factory is designed to intake, sort, and ship out. Because without a perfectly structured package, our machine just jams up entirely.
Moving on to step 2, the core processing loop. This right here is the absolute heart of the machine. Under the hood, it's essentially an infinite node.js style event loop, running 4 highly mechanical steps: fetch staged operations, validate locally, prioritize and package, and finally, sign and submit. It runs this all day long. Actually, fun fact, it literally needs a built-in sleep function for idle backoff. Otherwise, when the queue is empty, the machine essentially loses its mind and busy waits itself to death. Now, before anything actually gets packaged, it goes through some intense quality control via 3 really cheap checks. First up, a structural check, basically formatting validation. Second, an off-chain simulation to approximate the on-chain effects without spending any real gas. And third, a paymaster accounting sanity check to make sure there's sufficient balance. Think of these 3 steps as the bouncers at the club door. They stop bad packages early before they can get inside and cause really costly on-chain rejections.
Step 3. The UserOp lifecycle.
Let's actually track a single UserOp package as it rides down our metaphorical conveyor belt. At exactly 0 milliseconds, it's pending. That's raw intake, totally unvalidated. By 50 milliseconds, it passes validation and becomes staged, just waiting for packaging. By 100 milliseconds, it's packaged, included in a ready bundle. At 1 second, it becomes broadcasted when the outer transaction is submitted to the network. And finally, around the 12-second mark, it is officially finalized and confirmed on-chain. That right there is the exact survival journey of a successful UserOp.
Let's hit step 4, throughput versus latency.
So now that the engine is actually running, we have to look at the control panel and tune its efficiency. And here we run into a classic engineering tug of war. On one side, you have throughput, how many UserOps per second we can actually process. On the other side, latency, the time to inclusion for a single UserOp. The catch? You literally cannot max out both of these at the exact same time. If you want larger bundles for better throughput, you are forcing early UserOps to just sit and wait, which intrinsically increases their latency.
To manage this trade-off, you have 3 main tuning levers, and how you set these dictates the exact service level agreement you provide to your users. Increasing the batch size limit improves gas amortization, sure, but it increases latency because you're waiting longer to fill it up. Lowering the staging TTL decreases latency for a really snappy inclusion, but it hurts throughput since you're submitting smaller bundles. And finally, adding parallelism increases throughput by using multiple workers, but its impact on latency is neutral, and it requires some incredibly careful coordination so you don't end up with double inclusions.
Let's isolate one of those critical dials for a second. TTL, or time to live. This is the maximum allowable wait time for a UserOp in the staged queue before it absolutely must be packaged or dropped. A short TTL is fantastic for a snappy, low-latency user experience. Your users are going to love how fast it feels. But the downside is it hurts your per-operation gas costs because you're basically forced to send out smaller, way less efficient bundles.
And that brings us to step 5, determinism and safety. Before we even think about letting this machine run wild in a live production environment, we have to establish one absolute golden rule. Prioritization and packaging must be 100% deterministic and reproducible. Why? Well, because servers crash. It happens. If your bundler crashes and restarts, it must sort the exact same packages in the exact same order using consistent tiebreakers. If it behaves randomly upon restart, you are risking catastrophic on-chain failures, and nobody wants that.
Which brings us to a really critical question to leave you with today. Which queuing policy will best meet your operational objectives? When real-world UserOp traffic spikes hit out of nowhere, how will your machine handle that sudden load? Are you going to use first in, first out, feat priority, or maybe a hybrid model? Think about that for a bit, because it perfectly tees up our very next lesson on designing transaction queuing strategies. And that is a wrap for today's blueprint. I really hope this explainer gave you a rock-solid mental model of exactly how a bundler operates under the hood. Don't forget to dive deeper into this subject and the rest of the account abstraction track by visiting forge.college. Keep building, and we will see you next time.